We're going to try to put a little bite in the show today, or maybe not. Forrest brought along a couple of friends today.
Yeah, Suki and Freddie, the pawn shop dogs, came and are in studio today. So we're just watching all the wires, make sure nothing gets chewed on.
I was
So
mentioning that there's a big bag off air. I mentioned this. There's a big bag of beef jerky out on one of the desks in the main office. I bet they would enjoy some of that this morning.
yeah, they were already getting lots of love out there in the lobby. Everybody was wanting to take them. I'm like, if you take them, you're committed. You have to keep them. So everybody
Yeah.
backed off.
These are good hunting dogs, right?
Well, one is Freddie. He's a Griffin. He's a really good hunting dog. He's young, and then Suki is a blue heeler and about the best dog ever. And she's basically the babysitter of Freddie. So
Babies, if they need those. And of course, Todd, you're an animal lover.
Yeah, I've got lots of cats and ducks and chickens and 4 dogs of my own, along with a lizard and
Is
a
that all?
bunch of
how do
fish.
all those things get along? If these dogs were around chickens, or you just have
You know,
dogs and
they get along
cats?
great actually. The chickens and the ducks. I had a bunch of baby ducks hatch out, and they would just cats would snuggle right up next to them. I
Really?
don't let the dogs in with the ducks. We've lost a few ducks.
I got you.
I have a history myself, mainly as a dog owner, where especially a lot of rescue dogs over the years, and so I've had everything from Belgian shepherds to Great Danes to, gosh, a dog that had shepherd markings, but it had skirts like a retriever would have, and it had a collie face. And it was a big 75-pound dog, and it bossed around the 155-pound Great Dane. I never was a cat guy, never. And then people started giving me rescue cats to take care of. And I take care of the ones out back here. We've got about half a dozen that live in the barn. And they're about as big as bowling balls this winter. So they're doing well. But I have a cat at home. And I've got to be honest with you guys. At 3 o'clock in the morning, the alarm goes off. The cat knows that it's feeding time. Tucker is his name. Big, furry, black and white thing. But generally, anywhere from about, 2:10 onward, he's trying to remind me that it's getting near 3 o'clock. And they have a habit. They're small animals, but this cat probably goes about 16 pounds. When he headbutts you, you know it. When you're trying to sleep, it'll wake you up out of a nice sound sleep. So
He might like my duck Lenny. He's about 14 pounds.
it's a big
That's a
duck.
big duck.
I've got a long story about a night in Vegas, a cat headbutting me. There's a lot of other details to it, but I don't want to really get into it. It's a long time ago I needed the money. We'll just kind of leave it at that.
This is a gun show, by the way.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, actually, a lot of people who own firearms own good dogs. They go together because, especially if you're out doing a lot of hunting or bird hunting, in fact, not necessarily your pet duck, but others out there.
Yeah, I mean, you can use dogs for hunting a lot. I mean, upland hunting, waterfowl hunting. Dogs are just, if you have a handgun and you're worried about home security, a good dog, even just a dog that's going to make noise when someone knocks on your door or raps at the window late at night.
Right.
That's not a bad thing to have. It's in a good alert system.
It's a good alert, and like I said, most burglars, they're not interested in getting caught. So a lot of
Yep.
times that dog barking as an alert will scare them off. Talked to a lot of the guys that are trained at Shaw shooting with the military, some of the upper echelon guys, and their worst nightmare is trying to do a clandestine
Right.
operation and there's dogs,
Deal with dogs. Yeah.
because dogs are so smart and they alert so quickly.
They can smell and everything
Yep.
else.
When you actually, though, are training a dog for hunting, my next door neighbor growing up was a state trooper, and he did a lot of bird hunting. And he had I think it was a golden retriever. No, it was an Irish setter actually that he had. Um, they're a little darker generally than the retrievers.
He was a fancy hunter.
He was a fancy hunter. But when he would go out, he took a cap gun, and what he would do is he'd go out there and sit next to the doghouse every night for a number of weeks, and he would fire the cap gun just so the dog got used to having so the dog wouldn't be spooked.
Yeah, you got to familiarize the dog with gunshots and with just life in general. Cars, trucks going by, everything. You got to get him used to all that. You don't want him to be, shy of loud noises. That's the worst thing you can do is go out with a dog and you shoot your bird and the dog runs back to the truck.
Dogs are no different than people in a sense that they remember, and they
Everything.
have Suki here. She's a little blue heeler. She's 3 years old. Got her from a pound. Um, if you even get a gun out, I don't have to shoot it, but I even grab a gun in a shop, she starts shaking. Like she does not like it. So she's obviously had some traumatic experience in her life. Freddie, I've shot around him a little bit, try to take him out and try to make it fun. If you have a hunting dog, one thing people have told me, and it's worked, is when you get ready to feed them, grab that feeding dish and just smack it on the ground really loud.
Yep.
Start associating loud noise with positive experiences. And then when you go hunting, if a bird flies up, you shoot it. You're not gonna to walk back to your truck and get your dog out of the truck. So,
Yep.
but be good to these little people. They are very loyal but you need to be good to them. You need to treat them right, and you need to be sensitive. I know guys that shoot out of the window of a car or shoot from a car in an enclosure with a dog in there. That's really loud for them.
Yeah.
That's really scary for them because they're not quite sure what's happening. So be sensitive.
And their ears pick up things that ours don't.
Absolutely.
Yep.
We wanted to point out, in fact, last week when I think we were closing the show, we were having a discussion. A caller wanted to know about just various rifles, shotguns, and the like when you are hunting, what you might take out there. And so we did delve into that a little bit at the close of the program last week. I do want to point out, Forrest had a post last night about a revolver. Boy, that thing looks sweet on his Facebook page. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it's the Ruger LCR. It's their polymer framed revolver. They make it in several different calibers, but my favorite one they've got out right now is a 3-inch barrel, 8-shot 22 Magnum. It's just the sweetest, super lightweight, would be great for backpacking, great for running. You have a little more barrel length than the 2-inch barrel version they make. And they're just little sweethearts. Great little action on them, really smooth. You can get them with a bobbed hammer, or you can get them with a completely covered hammer. So a lot of options. We've got so much stuff. It's been funny this week in the shop. I bought probably 35 guns over 4 days, just coming in off the straight, different use stuff, people selling stuff, people trading towards other guns. We've got some really interesting stuff. We got a 6mm Browning falling block, an old like Quigley down under used to shoot. Just been a ton of stuff. A lot of people asking about Todd's classes as well. So I don't know when his next one is.
I got one coming up actually February 3rd. I just had
2 weeks.
Yeah, I had just had another one.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks, I think. Yeah, I just had one last Saturday. Nice full class. I think I ended up with about 28 people in it. Great class. Great people, all looking to exercise their freedoms. This from give it to them by the Second Amendment. But I've got plenty of spots left in this February 3rd class. If you're interested in it, you can call me. You can text me. Area code 620-794-6223. That's area code 620-794-6223. I was to the point where we could almost use the outdoor range again, and then it rained last night. I've been going out there every day and kind of stepping in there, and it's been drying out, and I was getting pretty excited, and then I woke up about 1 o'clock and heard that rain, and I was like, ugh.
I got a hairdryer I hardly ever use, so if you want, you can bring that over.
It can't be very big.
cord.
It can't be very big because I've seen how much hair you actually
Yeah,
have.
it's just a little one, just a touch-up model.
You guys don't like a lot of controversy. I know that. You don't say controversial things.
No, never.
But Todd sent me a link the other day. And we had talked about, Gun Owners of America, and I've had both Eric and Larry Pratt on radio shows in the past. And there are a lot of people out there who are starting to put more of their allegiance there. And the NRA may be slipping as a lobbying organization.
There's, I sent you that article. I kind of read it. I need to follow more of what's going on there. But there's a lot of they say there's a lot of rot in the inside of the NRA, and they're trying to get that. They have a new, I think, NRA board. They have 2 new spots or 1 new spot. They're trying to get the Adam Kraut in there, but they're trying to take the NRA back to what the NRA used to be. So yeah, there's a lot of controversy right now, but there is another option. There's Gun Owners of America. That's something else to look at. They are another big gun lobbying organization. So if you're fed up with the NRA right now, you may look at the Gun Owners of America and kind of see where that'll take you.
I think it's important to note that both these groups do a lot of good.
They do.
They've got different focuses, and sometimes with politics, there's a lot of give and take. To get something done, you got to give something. But the focus, these dogs are in a full-on wrestling match. The focus should be on moving forward and protecting the rights we have and not giving ground, because the more ground you give, you'll never get that ground back. It's just when they pass a law, they're never going to I don't see very many laws repealed, but I see several added every year. So, it's not a bad idea to join one of these organizations and be a part, but be smart where your money goes.
Yeah, do your homework.
Find out what the CEO is getting paid. Find out how much they actually spend in your community before you donate to them.
And you're gonna favor one more than the other, but you're gonna agree with one more than the other, and that's if that's good with you, that's where you need to put your money. But we got, like Forrest said, we got to move forward.
I wanted to point out, speaking of laws, there was a story that was posted by a friend of mine. She lives in Texas, where they have some pretty strong beliefs about firearms. And this came from a website called WorldNet Daily. Headline: West Virginia aims to be sanctuary state for gun rights. Now, of course, I read the first line right away, and I think there's a giveaway here. A West Virginia legislator has introduced a bill to the State House that would outlaw enforcement of current and future gun control laws that violate either the federal or state constitutions. My guess is you could pass a law anyway, and if it's going to be in violation of them, it will get overturned. But he's just trying to stop the attempt of someone to see if they can't slip one by.
And the other aspect is, if a state passed it and actually was like truly committed it from the local law enforcement all the way up, it would be difficult for the federal government to enforce that because they would have to bring federal law enforcement in, and it's just like kind of what's happened in California and these other states with drug law. It's against federal law, but because they've supported it from the top to the bottom, there's nothing that the feds can really do about it or are willing to do about it. Same thing could go for an individual state. Like we have some laws here on the books that protect like suppressors, that made in Idaho suppressor law. Problem is it's not supported from top to bottom by our local prosecutors would not walk away from a case if somebody got arrested for having an illegal suppressor.
So how valid is it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and that's something you've got to keep in mind. That federal is going to always supersede state if there's disagreement.
They're more or less just, I think, if it were to slip through, they're more or less making a statement.
And if you have to buy an item and meet someone in some clandestine location and have this, super secret operation to get something bought, it's probably illegal. Just remind yourself of that. The minute you see it in stores regularly, it'd be okay to buy. But if you have to meet someone or secret to buy it, then don't buy it, because you don't want to end up doing 10 years in federal prison because some guy convinced you that
suppressor was made in Idaho.
Yeah, exactly.
And I read this story, and I think that what he's getting at too, and it wasn't explicitly stated right away, but I think what he's getting at is he's trying to prevent laws that would limit ammunition purchases and the size of magazines, which some states are trying to do that. Obviously, if they can't ban guns, they figure they can limit what ammunition you get, so you just have something to throw instead of shoot. We've got a short break. We'll get more on this coming up in a few minutes. And we've got Forrest Anderson and Todd Eccles in studio with us this morning. We're talking firearms, all things firearms. Bill Colley answering the telephones on Top Story on News Radio 1310 KLIX and newsradio1310.com. It's 9:20. We're at 36. Wanted to mention we're talking firearms this morning on Top Story on News Radio 1310 KLIX and newsradio1310.com. Our guests are Forrest Anderson from Washington Street Pawn, Todd Eccles. He's joining us from Patriot Defense. We're at 9:23. Bill Colley answering the telephone. 36 right now. Telephone number 208-736-0300. That's 208-736-0300. Speaking of controversy, this morning while I was getting ready for work, and I just happened to see this very quickly, Glenn Beck's website had a story in Las Vegas. There was a discussion in court, and apparently Las Vegas police said they can't reveal more details right now because they are looking at other individuals following the mass shooting. So conspiracy theorists are going to go crazy at this point.
Well, go figure.
Yeah.
There's a lot. I haven't had time to delve into that. But
I haven't. It disappeared for a long time.
there is a lot there that has not been talked about, and there's a lot of questions that are unanswered. And if you've ever been to Las Vegas, seen a special on these casinos, they have cameras
Everywhere.
So there should be a lot more video of
Oh, I'm sure there is. We
the
just don't
comings
know
and
about it.
goings, and there might be some other individuals. So hopefully they get that nailed down. I think this might be a bigger deal than what we know, though.
Yeah.
I almost am starting to, if this was a movie, I don't want to go too far. I do believe in letting things take their course, but everything I heard about this guy, and then the way the condition of the room was found, you start to wonder, could it be someone did set him up? And had there been someone else in the room? Who knows? But it could be that someone just assisted him with getting firearms in there. It could be something simple like that they're looking at. Who knows? But by revealing this in court, the police were forced to reveal it the other day and just say, we're looking at other individuals. Uh, you know what? It's going to create some concern, I think, among people across the country that somebody somewhere, perhaps in this investigation, fouled up early on and missed something, and they're still trying to play catch up. Because you say it's been months. What, October?
Yeah. So yeah, I don't even want to make any speculations, but it'd be real nice to kind of just kind of interesting to see
Sure.
how this comes out.
And then, and now I'm going to sound like a conspiracy theorist, which I'm not, but the timing is fascinating to me. Like the last two times they were going to vote on the Safe Hearing Act, the
Yep.
first time they were going to vote was when the congressman got shot in D.C. The second time, the day before they're going to vote, the Las Vegas shooting happens. It just seems really weird to me, the timing.
And I'm going to jump right in there behind you. That happens quite a bit, actually. If you think about other instances of something happening, other events. Anyhow, I don't want to sound crazy, but
but a lot of this is also what happens. You get a lot of calls for, a crackdown on gun ownership and the like, and some new laws, but then that fades as well too. And I haven't heard anyone mention bump stocks in a month at least.
Yeah, it's one of those things but eventually, what you do is you don't build a house. You don't just throw one piece of wood up, you have a house. You have to build that one stick at a time. So
Over
they're kind
time.
of building their
Yeah.
case and building public opinion by generations. And hopefully, I think the anti-Second Amendment guys are hoping to build a generation of people who don't have a good opinion of guns.
And you haven't heard anything about national reciprocity for a month or so either.
Yeah.
That kind of was big, and then it went away.
Because again, they're looking at the political winds. We have a caller with us, and caller, you're up next. You're on the air on Top Story.
Well, I firmly believe there was a UN plan to disarm us. I think the mayor of Chicago exposed that when he asked for UN peacekeepers. I believe they had already provided huge amounts of information on gun owners back there. I think it's nationwide, and I think a lot of mayors have worked with the United Nations, with their intelligence people. I believe there was a plan on the ground to disarm us under a Hillary administration. Now, we got an airport just north of us that Obama put almost $75 million in fixing. One of the contractors told me that it is now capable of handling huge military cargo planes, probably not ours. And with the federal money that went into the local transportation up there, they're capable of moving over 500 UN peacekeepers an hour or a day up there. Now, you tell me, I firmly believe that the UN has a plan, and I think every gun owner in this area, I think our name was on it. The information was provided through these mayors that had access to our personal information. I really believe that, and I think more and more information is going to come out about that. Now, whether it was done, could have been done under a national emergency or some sort, whatever. But I think the mayor of Chicago exposed this plan, and I think we should all call our senators and our representatives and demand a total cutoff of UN funding until they turn that plan over to American officials and to the U.S. Justice Department. I think our names are on a UN plan.
Well, and I will add to that. I realize the UN does not like firearms. I mean, that they have all sorts of resolutions about this and discussions and the like. And the mayor of Chicago thinks the same way. And so that's why he opened his mouth when he could have just said we should bring in the National Guard, although who knows, the Republican governor in Illinois may have said, you created the problem and the like. The only thing I will say about these blue helmeted guys, if they were to come to Idaho, they don't shoot very well where they currently are. They're usually, it's basically they're walking around. The blue helmet is like just a sign that says shoot me. What would they really want here too?
I don't think that we will ever see UN troops in an active military role on U.S. soil in my lifetime.
Right,
Um,
right.
and I also, like, I know, for example, like, um, our local mayor just doesn't have any record of who has what guns. When we do a background check, we don't even tell them what gun we're calling to check. We
He
just
wouldn't have
simply
the
tell them.
time.
Says you're wearing a blue hat.
Yeah, that's true. I am wearing a Dodgers hat today.
We have a short break. More coming up. Now, the Dodgers need a little UN control. Well, they had Japanese ownership for a while, and that didn't work out. We're at 36. We've got more with Todd Eccles from Patriot Defense and Forrest Anderson from Washington Street Pawn and Bill Colley on News Radio 1310 KLIX and newsradio1310.com. Wanted to mention we're talking firearms this morning in the studio, and we've got joining us Forrest Anderson from Washington Street Pawn. We also have Todd Eccles from Patriot Defense. We're coming up on 9:34. Bill Colley with you as well, answering the telephones. We're at 35. Telephone number 208-736-0300. Wanted to point out, we talked a little bit earlier, Forrest mentioned he's had a lot of firearms and other objects come into the shop, but we'll flip it over and start with Todd first. For people who'd like to take the class, how do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, they can. I actually got a class on February 3rd. They can call me. They can text me. Area code 620-794-6223. That's area code 620-794-6223. You can find me on Facebook under Patriot Defense. Like the page. I'll keep you updated on everything. My podcast, I'm still doing that podcast every single week. You can find it under the Patriot Defense Podcast on iTunes or Spotify. And as soon as I get home and have my 15-year-old daughter show me how to use it, we're going on Instagram.
That revolver we were talking about earlier, Forrest, that's an 8-shot revolver, right?
Yeah, 22 Magnum. I love that caliber. It's great for self-defense. It's great for, like, just about anything. It's a really fast, small bullet. It's got great penetration, no recoil. So if you've got, a lot of people carry too much gun, because all that matters in a self-defense situation is placing your shots on target. If you're carrying a gun that does not allow you to hit the target consistently, you need to get something else, because all that matters is the shots that hit the target. That's the great thing about 22 mag. It's going really fast. It's got a lot of penetration, but it's got no recoil. So with a little practice, anyone should be able to be a proficient shooter with it.
We wanted to point out, too, as well, there's more than just firearms in the shop. You've got Xboxes, right?
Oh, yeah. We got Xboxes, PlayStation 4s. We've got a whole bunch of movies, like cool movies. If you're looking for like a movie night, come in. We sell them for $2 a piece, and we've got thousands of movies in there. Just all different kinds of titles and cool old, like, I found Young Guns the other day when I was putting some movies out, and just a bunch of really cool stuff I'd forgotten about. Video games, tools, a lot of tools. I've got a lot of really good hand tools coming out right now, drills and saws and circular saws, just all kinds of stuff. Washington Street Pawn, 321 Washington Street, 208-735-0012, or you can find us on Facebook and Washington Street Pawn. Send me a message. We try to post some of the newer, cooler stuff that we get in up there. So
wanted to point out Young Guns. After I think Lou Diamond Phillips left that movie, he never had a big role again until he was in Longmire, and then he played the tavern owner in Longmire.
I think Todd wanted to actually dress like Lou Diamond Phillips for Halloween.
Sweet. I'll do it.
Yeah,
I'll do it. We'll come down. I'll hand out my business cards. We'll be in front of Washington Street Pawn. That'd be awesome.
You need a long coat like Emilio had.
Yeah. I was going to dress up like Emilio, but I couldn't figure out how to cut 8 inches off my height to be Emilio's dress.
They shoot it from a particular angle when they're putting him on screen.
They do that with a lot of those actors.
Yeah.
Who else? I've met Arnold Schwarzenegger and the Die Hard guy. Why can't I think?
Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis. Yeah, I met them in Costco one day here locally. I was taller than both of them. I was ready to just start picking a fight so I could say I kicked Arnold Schwarzenegger's butt. They weren't very big, and I was like, "All right, let's get our name in the paper. Do something cool."
He'd probably want to just sit down and have a cigar.
I'm pretty sure my eyes, were bigger than my fists. I'm sure they would have had me.
Yes. Wanted to point out, if you'd like to reach our program today, 208-736-0300, 208-736-0300. one thought as Todd was talking about the class and how you get 28 people and you're filling these up repeatedly now. We are now a year and a half into this enhanced carry change. That is the constitutional carry, but more people want the enhanced carry permit for that state line to go if you're going to Montana, Wyoming, or somewhere. And we still haven't seen all of that mayhem that was predicted.
Oh, they always predict mayhem, but no, I've been busier than ever. I think it's people are feeling that responsibility to want to come in and at least learn the laws, and more people are wanting to carry now. I think since constitutional carry went into effect, I think over the course of getting that up there, carrying a concealed weapon was actually just publicized a lot, and I think it clicked and it rang true in a lot of people's minds, and they decided, hey, I want to do that, but I need to learn the laws, and it's fantastic class for that. You learn the laws, and then we spend the last half of the day. You have to fire 98 rounds. We round up to an even 100, and we just shoot some, through some basic type drills. We have a good time doing it. Learn how to shoot left-handed, right-handed. Learn the basic stances. We work on your marksmanship and just how to shoot, the basic handling it safely, and then the basic shooting fundamentals, stances, and so on and so forth. So you get you comfortable by 100 rounds. Are you a professional shooter after 100 rounds? No, but you're going to be comfortable. You're going to know how to safely handle a firearm, and hopefully you'll go out and continue to shoot after the class.
We want to take a short break, but we've got more with both Todd and Forrest on the way in just a few minutes. We're at 36. Bill Colley with you too as well on News Radio 1310 KLIX and newsradio1310.com, and we're 20 minutes from 10 o'clock. Well, there's supposed to be music. There it is. Talking firearms this morning on Top Story on News Radio 1310 KLIX, newsradio1310.com. 35, not going to get a lot warmer today, and sky will clear out. We will see, though, a little bit of snow next week. I was told yesterday, actually, these guys would know more about this because I don't do any hunting anymore. These guys being, of course, Forrest Anderson from Washington Street Pawn and Todd Eccles from Patriot Defense. But I was talking with Kelton Hatch from Idaho Fish and Game yesterday, and he was saying, one of the things about the weather, the way it's been this winter, certainly no one's complaining. They don't want a repeat of last winter, I think. But he said he was out bird hunting, and he made the comment that when you get all your gear on and you're walking around in this weather, you're sweating.
Yeah, it's hot. It's hot out there. And it's been kind of a tough year, I think, for some of the waterfowl hunters because little cloud cover, some snow and rain is great. But when it's bright and sunshiny,
And when the river's high,
yeah, it's tough.
the river's been high. I go out, we've talked about before. I like to go and run, and I'll get out there, and I'm kind of cold to begin with, and I'll overlayer, and I'll get to running, and about 2 miles in, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm dying.
Yeah,
Too hot.
and it doesn't take long. We have a caller with us, and caller, you're up next. You're on Top Story, and you're talking to our guest, talking about firearms.
Yes, sir. Good morning. I tuned in just as you were talking about the 22 Magnum. I had a question about that round. I recently came across a Keltec PMR 30, I think it is a model. It's a composite frame handgun. It's a 22 WMR, which I think is the same as a 22 Magnum.
Yeah,
What impressed me about it was the magazine capacity. It's like a double stack. It holds 30 rounds, which I thought was pretty awesome. I wanted to get your opinion on that handgun if you're familiar with it.
I own that handgun. I don't mean to cut you off, but
No.
I get excited because I've never had a 22 handgun anything, and I bought this that exact handgun probably 6-7 months ago. I absolutely love that thing. It is a blast to shoot. Mine's accurate as can be. Any students that I've let use it in my class, maybe someone who can't handle the recoil of a bigger handgun, they absolutely love it. My kids love to shoot it. It is a fantastic gun.
Polymer frame, super lightweight,
Yep.
very accurate, huge mag capacity. Like I said, it holds 30 rounds. The
And
downside
cost and availability.
Yeah, the downside is availability. They're difficult to get. They're not very expensive. Don't overpay for one of these because they will come available, and like we sell them for about $335 to $375, depending on what the current price is. But
Okay.
the other rip on them is reliability. You have to keep them super clean.
Lost our caller, but hopefully he can listen over the air.
22 Magnum in a semi-automatic format is something that has been struggled with gun makers for years. Same with the 17 HMR, to get one that's reliable. These seem to be pretty good. I've heard mixed reviews. Some people, like Todd,
Well,
have you had any misfeed?
I have. What I was told was when you first get it, don't load the magazine up clear to 30 rounds. Started off at 20 rounds, 15 rounds, shoot that for a while, and when you get a few hundred rounds, then you can start loading the magazine to its full capacity. And mine just ran well the entire time. The only time it didn't, it was really cold outside, and I think, well, I don't like to clean my guns that much, and I think I needed to get in there and just clean it and re-lube it. I think that was the problem because a couple days later when it warmed up, it ran like a champ. Same ammo, same everything. So it was just a cold issue with me. I think just clean it, care for it, and I think you'll be good to go.
When we talk about cleaning firearms, well, I'll let you. You had a comment to follow up, right?
Oh, I was just going to say, there's different applications for different firearms, and with what I know about this one, I don't know that I would consider it a great concealed carry for ultimate reliability
It's
gun.
big too.
It's pretty big, but they are very light. I'm still a revolver or something very well proven, something
Right.
that's going to run. And it's important to note also when you buy a new gun, make sure you run all different kinds of ammo through that gun so you know what it likes to eat and what it doesn't like to eat. Because you don't want to get a new gun, go shoot it with 100 like a 9mm, shoot 115 grain round nose. Oh, it's great, and then load some hollow points in and never shoot them, and then find out your gun won't feed that ammunition.
That's
So
a big problem with 1911s.
mine
So,
runs it fine.
Your runs it fine.
Yeah.
Well, nice. Anyhow, I'm not trying to start another argument by any
Oh,
means.
no, we're
No,
fine.
if you get that PMR 30, run it, play with it, shoot it, enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. You do have to run and buy a little hotter rounds for it though.
Yep.
Well, when we talk about keeping any firearm clean, again, if you're just starting out, there's a lot of videos that are available that people can look at, so they can find out how you go best about cleaning these. But if someone's buying something from you, you can give them a little instruction too.
Absolutely. We'll talk to you about what's the application. You're going to concealed carry. You just want something to sport shoot. Want something for your nightstand. What's the application? How are you going to carry that firearm? How are you going to use it? And then we'll find one that'll work for you. The great thing about our guns is if you buy a new gun from me, it's lifetime free replacement warranty. If the gun ever breaks, you just bring it back and I just get you a brand new gun to replace it. We're also very fair with our customers on trade-in. So let's say you've bought a gun from somewhere else. You're like, this is not at all what I wanted. Bring it in. We'll take it and trade towards something that's better fit for your needs. I had a customer who's bought several guns from me come in last night, and his wife bought one of the LCR 38s because they are in their 80s. And she had a hard time with the Taurus and Smith & Wesson little revolvers they had pulling the trigger. That LCR has a really smooth trigger pull, and she was able to pull that trigger. So she wanted something for home defense. So anyway, yeah, come in. We'll talk to you about that. And I also want to thank that caller for his service. I recognized his voice. We need to salute our veterans and remember them because a lot of these guys physically are pretty broken down. Carrying 60-pound packs, especially if they've done a lot of service in the field, it's hard for them. And this gentleman's had knees replaced and hips replaced and shoulders. And, these guys have done a lot for our country. So make sure you reach out to them when you get a chance.
They know how to clean firearms. My dad always told me stories about how they had to keep cleaning and cleaning and cleaning and cleaning and cleaning and cleaning so they could basically close their eyes and do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I just want to throw out there, on the show we always talk about me and doing the enhanced concealed carry class that I put on. I do that class, and then when it gets warmer, I do a lot more classes. But during the winter, there's some other classes that I do. I had a lady I know call me last week, and we set up a time. I'm going to meet with her this week. She hasn't really handled handguns for many, many years. She's borrowed a couple she wants to shoot, and I have a bunch that she's going to shoot. She's trying to find a handgun that will work for her, that will fit her hand. And that she's able to feel comfortable with. So she's going to get together with me. We're going to go over basic safety, and then I have all my handguns there. She's going to provide the ammo, and we're going to sit down. We're going to shoot a bunch of them and find one that works for her. That way, when she's done, she can go down and she can see forest, and she can have an idea of what's going to fit for her, what's going to work for her, instead of just going in and saying, I like that one right there. It feels good in my hands. I want to buy it, and I've never shot it, that kind of thing. So I do classes like that. If you need something like that, let me know.
We talk about cleaning firearms, and a thought here. I had a teacher when I was young who had served in the desert in World War II in North Africa, and he used to tell us stories about keeping your rifle clean. He said, first of all, it's filled with cosmoline, and there's sand everywhere, and he said we were constantly struggling to keep these things clean. because you get into a firefight, you're going to have a problem if they're not. A lot of people here shoot in the desert, and there's going to be a lot of blowing dust out there. I know one day I took a ride from Bruno Dunes back through the desert all the way back down through came into Buell, and I had I was in the Jeep and I had everything opened up, and when I got back, I was just coated in dust. Maybe if I'd been in a Scout, I never would have gotten back in the first place. But
You would have gotten back. It would cost you a lot of money and fuel, though.
But the fact of the matter is, if a lot of people here do go out and they shoot in the desert, and if you're shooting in the desert, you may not even notice it, but you're going to pick up a lot of dust and sand and the like.
You do, and dust and sand it's not always the best for firearms. That's why you want to clean them. I've almost destroyed a vehicle because it got full of dust and powder and electrical stuff quit working. So you got a gun that's got a lot of moving parts, and you got a gun that's got a little bit of oil in it, obviously to keep it lubed and functioning. It will attract some dust. So if you go out and you're in these rough, dirty situations and you're out shooting, when you're done, go home and clean them.
Yeah, we have guns come in that are completely inoperable. People come to trade them in or whatever, and they're like, I haven't shot this a few years, and the bolt's completely like froze shut or
Carbon.
something like that. So if you're intimidated, you're like, man, I've got this gun, I have no idea how to clean it. Bring it in. We'll show you how. We'll take it down right there. We'll show you how to clean it. We'll help you clean it this first time so you know how to do it. And we don't charge anything for that.
What are you doing this afternoon? Because I got about 9 or 10 that I don't know how to clean.
We will help you clean them. I will point to the parts and show you how to take it apart, and then you can
Do you
clean
buy, do you buy scrap
man.
metal?
Yeah.
We have a caller with us. Caller, you're up next. You're on the air at 9:53.
Good morning, guys. Love this program. Just kind of a heads up, we had a situation here this fall. A friend of mine shot a deer, and it was out on the desert, and he went to shoot it with his pistol, and probably done it 100 times. But shot it with the pistol. When he got close, there was rocks behind the deer, ricocheted off, and hit his girlfriend in the upper thigh. But it's just be aware, people with rifles, we're all good, but when you get them pistols out, things happen. But just a kind of a public reminder. Thanks, guys.
That's awesome advice. Know your backstop and know that bullet's not going to stop necessarily in your target. Know what's behind.
That's
your
gun safety rule number 4, I believe.
Yeah, so that's uncommon. And here's another thing to think about. If you're hunting with your buddy, been several times guys have shot a deer or an elk, and their buddy's gotten there first, and he's like, well, I'll just put it down, shoots with their handgun. The Fish and Game's watching, guess who's just going to get a big fine?
Yep.
So, make sure that if you're there to assist, you're just there to carry meat and drag it out. Don't shoot someone else's animal, even if you're just like, well, he already shot, I'm just putting out of its misery. It's still a Fish and Game violation. So
Yeah, but safety first. Like I said, know your backstop, understand it. I know, you shot a deer, you're excited, you kind of get caught up in the moment there, but we've always got to focus on safety.
the funniest thing I ever heard hunting was walking around a corner, and I see this mule that's laying dead, and I see this Razor parked there with California plates, and I see one hunter, obviously from Idaho. He's standing with his hands up, and I can just remember hear him say to the other guy, he says, "Look, Mister, you can have the deer. Just let me get my saddle off it first." So make sure you know
What you're shooting.
what you're shooting as well.
If you're in a confined space, this is the other part of that. Ricochets. In the movies, it hardly ever happens. And yet there are objects around, and those objects can be pretty solid. You can get a bullet bouncing around in any space at any point.
You can, and you got to be aware of what's around you. In my class, we touch on what we call cover and concealment. And cover is something that's going to stop around, and that you'll be able to hide behind and be okay if you're in a firefight, I guess. And concealment is going to hide you, but not necessarily going to stop a bullet. So you have all that stuff around you. And so I'm going to flip this on you, Bill, and I'm going to say, if you're in your house and you're in your bedroom, and say someone walks down your hallway and is in your bedroom that night, and you reach over and you grab your firearm, know that if you take a shot at him and it penetrates him, over penetrates him, or you miss him, that sheetrock wall is not going to stop that round. And if you've got kids on the other side of that wall, my 2 boys, they used to sleep in bunk beds. That's a bad situation because that bullet has just gone through him or past him through that wall into my kids' rooms. You need to be aware that not everything is going to stop a round.
And in modern homes,
Nothing.
exterior wall is not going to stop
No.
a bullet. We do this out when we do classes of shot shooting and demonstrate to people. A lot of people like what the A team showed you in the 80s, a car door will not even stop a handgun bullet. In
Nope.
fact, a car door will penetrate through the driver's door, through the interior door panel, go across the car, into the door panel, and out the other side.
Yep.
So there's a lot of penetration there. So be careful, and if you want to stop a bullet, don't use a car door to do it. 'Cause
Yeah.
It's not going to do any good.
I was touring a house that was being renovated and upgraded by Western Visions, which is a longtime advertiser with us, and it's the oldest, I think, the oldest house in Cache County. At least the part of it that we were in was. And I looked at those walls, the wood that was used. 50 cal might have penetrated those, but these were thick, sturdy, strong walls. But today, you're right, with the lightweight materials that are used in construction, and a lot of insulation is just simply blown in, or it's foam. Uh, you think about it. I watched a program on the Kennedy assassination the other day, and they showed how they now believe that after the one bullet went through Kennedy, it tumbled and it went in sideways into Governor Connolly, and that's what shattered most of his bones.
And that's called keyholing, but yeah.
But that just and they were testing with using big blocks of soap and gel to show you what happens in these situations. But even then, Ronald Reagan, remember, was nearly killed by a ricochet, not necessarily by a direct shot. So bad things can happen.
It can. You need to know your surroundings. Need to know that you can get some ricochets, but if you're in your house, especially houses that are built right next to each other or apartment buildings, they're not going to stop everything.
And
so.
some calibers are like, you should never shoot 22 long rifle or 22 at anything hard, because it's going to come back.
Yeah.
Shoot it into a soft target that'll stop the bullet, like a dirt mound, something like that. Do not shoot a steel plate with a 22, because it probably come back at you.
We've got to wrap things up. We could continue this on for a few more hours today. We're at 9:59, and we do want to point out, we want to thank Forrest Anderson from Washington Street Pond for dropping in, Todd Eccles from Patriot Defense, Bill Colley with you as well. God willing, and the creek don't rise. I'll be back here Monday morning between 8 and 10 o'clock. Rush Limbaugh's program is up following the news at 10 o'clock.